right, here.
Got it.
Do you hear that?
Yep.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Okay, hold on. I've been practicing this. I don't know if you saw this last one, but I wanted to do this. My intro.
I haven't seen crap because I've been off my phone.
Yeah, no worries. Okay, I was practicing this quite a bit. So, all right. Welcome to the Giddy Pessimist, which is the podcast that's probably not going to work, but it should be fun. I'm your rambler and host, Seth Lindquist, and this is Kevin Underwood. Welcome, man.
What's up? Thanks.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
name's great. The name's really good.
Thanks, man. Yeah. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. There's not really a format. So, yeah. So you don't want to go back to work, huh?
Well, not that I don't want to. I don't know. It's just going back to the routine, I guess.
Yeah.
Just in the mood to do something different. That's currently what's going on.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about it like a lot.
Yeah. Pretty much on a semi bi-weekly basis for a long time.
For a long period of time. Yeah. How's your endeavor with Joe going?
It's good. We're very busy, and I mean, it pays all right. So
Yeah.
all that's good. Just I don't know, like we went on a trip and like spent a lot of time behind the camera again, and then
Nice.
more appealing at the moment. But I have no real income coming from anything related to the camera currently.
No. Yeah, I know. Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
We need to figure this out, man.
I know. Join the club.
We need to figure this out. Well, I think this is pretty good. Like I'm using my camera now, so like
Yeah. But no, like the forestry business is good. We're busy. Like one of our main clients kind of resigned, so there's some within their company. So there's a bunch of just randomness going on and some filler work for us to kind of help to keep things going for them and whatever else. But it's just kind of thrown plans all over the place and changed work, and now we're behind on some other things. So
yeah.
just a little bit of chaos.
Yeah. Yay, man. So obviously you're a small business owner.
Yeah.
How's that? I mean, how's that life?
It's good. Like as much as I don't know, I'm sure it happens in any industry. You get burnt out on things at times, but like either way, I'm not going back to working for somebody else. Like that's not really, and so it could be worse.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like I think we're we're fairly simple, and anytime you hear people talk about like small business or going into the self-employed world, it always comes up like the idea of that, like, well, you'll work a lot more and you'll probably make less money. And like I think at times, like maybe we do work more, work harder maybe, but the less money part has never been our burden, so to speak. Like we've always done better on that than we did before. So
yeah, and that's just so like, why did you, I mean, obviously I know, but just kind of for the background, like how did you what inspired the move to just go to do your own thing?
For me, I don't know, you'd have to talk to Joe, I guess, completely to understand his side of it. Just freedom of time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to have to ask people for time off or come in late or whatever. That's 100%.
Yeah. And how do you feel about that decision?
That part of it definitely works. Like there's some ups and downs to it at times. Like this is I guess we maybe just like are about to or just past like the 5-year mark.
Yeah.
So nice, it's actually been a little bit of time.
Yeah,
so it's not super new.
Yeah, well done. Well done on you. Most people fail by this point.
Yeah, so stuck around somehow. But I mean, largely as someone that does a service as opposed to sales, like as long as you have clients and we have steady like repeat business to business type clients, so the workflow is fairly steady and predictable, and it's just kind of doing the same thing year after year.
Yeah.
So
and how do you feel about that last statement?
The same thing year after year?
Yeah.
It's not bad. I like the fact that we can count on it. I guess the the part of it I don't like, or I'm starting to grow to like less and less, is just like the nature of exactly what we do and the physicality of it, I guess, in the long run. Like, I'm not that old yet. That might be a problem, like another. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool. So your photography stuff, what kind of stuff were you taking? What did you get to take pictures on this last trip?
Just mostly like landscape and nature stuff.
Yeah.
Actually, all it was. I shouldn't say mostly.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not true. We rented a couple of places and I shot a few interior real estate photos because I want to. Yeah, I'm probably going to do a little bit of that coming up.
Are you? Do you have anything lined up?
Like actual shoots right now?
Yeah.
No, I have some photos I shot that I just edited some of last night and put together. And I want to shoot a couple other people's houses that I know. So I have a little bit of a portfolio. And then like work's kind of crazy right now with this stuff, but I'd like to maybe get into some of that in like a month to 6 weeks.
Okay.
So
nice.
Like short term, I guess, but I can't really book anything this month anyway. Like I already booked my whole July schedule.
Yeah. Did I tell you that I shot my cousin's house, my aunt and uncle's house?
No, how was that?
Dude, it was fine. I mean,
what did you shoot it on?
So my cousin has this ridiculous, what is it? It's the
Sony you said or something before.
Yeah, the 7 Alpha or something like that. Just beautiful. So we shot it mostly on that, but I also bought a drone. Like I bought one from the pawn shop because I was like, honestly, I wanted a drone so bad. And it was kind of a dumb decision. Well, because it doesn't work. I mean, it worked and I got the pictures, but like, dude, the house is like selling, and I mean, they were totally fine. The agent wasn't kind of an idiot and didn't use like most of them. My aunt and uncle weren't happy with him. Like he only put like, I think at first like 6 or 8 pictures, and we gave him 30. But dude, it's as easy as you can imagine. I mean, like, and like the only thing that took us any time is there wasn't all the stuff was moved out. So we had to move everything from one side of the room and then over here. But I mean, you just take a bunch of pictures, you edit one of them, and then just copy and paste for like most of the same scenery. And it was like, when I was getting down to the end, it's like, it's kind of like, the same thing we talked about before, where like, it seems pretty simple, man.
Yeah. Like, no, the real estate photos are pretty simple. Like, it's just finding a corner and lining the shot up and making sure everything's straight and level. And then the idea of shooting it, like all the settings are room to room, and the editing's pretty much the same. And like I don't know how you did it. Like I'm HDRing all of them with like 3 exposures, but Lightroom does it for you essentially, and you tweak a few things at the end. And not that I should make it sound overly easy because I haven't really done a lot of it, but in terms of like the camera, the technical side, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's all it is knowing how to turn it on, get
it's just such a controlled setting with like nothing moving really, right? Like there's some little tricks with just making things look good and lights on and that kind of stuff.
Like deep depth of field, if that's even the right way to say that. But just get everything, and it's like, no, it was super easy. And looking at like a lot of the pictures, and then you just bump up like the contrast and the texture on a few things, because there's that really like heavily edited feel that I think kind of goes in the real estate thing, you know, where it's like, okay, this isn't supposed to look like real life. It's supposed to look a little bit better, but not like cartoonish. So it's like super freaking easy.
Get carried away. Want like pull all the windows out and like so you can see out of them and stuff that doesn't really normally all fit with the same lighting. But it's not incredibly difficult to shoot compared to, I mean, I don't really shoot portraits, but even compared to landscape where everything is completely different, like one place to the next.
Oh yeah.
Like you go in one house and like, the room's different, but the way you shoot it's essentially the same.
Yeah, no, like the way that Jeff was telling me, like, especially like if you just kind of there was a few things we kind of had to figure out, like, okay, what's the best way to shoot the the kitchen. Like, so it was kind of try to get it to a couple different heights and angles. And we looked at some other stuff, but like, if you just figured that out a couple times, the other thing I would say just from I didn't even deal with the guy. My cousin was doing it, but just find a real estate agent that's not an idiot, because this guy, like at first was just like the first thing he said, because like we just happened to be staying in that place. He was like, I'm only paying, what did he say? He's like, I only pay $300. So it's like, obviously this guy doesn't care, like doesn't care. And it was still, $400,000 house. And so like, I think that's going to be the one thing is like, if you can just find anybody that's competent.
I think so. Like I actually did. I bought a course and like took a course on real estate photography
recently.
Yeah, like the week before I left, so 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Yeah, so I went through that and like learned a few things on the technical side that you're talking about. Not so much with the camera itself, but just setup and things specific to shooting interiors. And then from there, like you said, there's not a ton to it. Like the camera I bought and one of the lenses that I have, like when I bought them, my intention was to shoot real estate, and I haven't done it yet. So I have the gear. I need to pick up a flash, like an off-camera flash, but just for certain situations.
Yeah, and that helps. Like I watched a couple videos, and like it'll pop a little bit for sure. Yeah, man. But I would like. I mean, obviously you're busy.
But no, like I shot most of like a small, like tiny house we stayed in off Airbnb in one place.
Nice.
I picked it just because it was like clean and simple and looked decent. But no, photos they're great.
Yeah.
So
are you gonna get a drone?
I don't mind getting a drone. I'll do it eventually, but really let's stay with it. Like I need the pilot's license.
Not if you get the one that I got, which I got one that was from a pawn shop, and I was just kind of like, I really wanted one, and I didn't know anything.
Maybe it's changed, but when Joe has them now. One of them that we had in the past, like we had a Phantom 4 Pro for a while.
Nice.
We got a couple of Mavics now, which I guess he has a couple of Mavic Pros. I don't have any ownership in those, but anyway, when we got into drone work in forestry, like basically the way it was at the time, and I haven't looked for this year, this was like 4 or 5 years ago, but you needed a pilot's license from the FAA to make like any money. Like if you were going to sell a service, not necessarily to fly them, like we could fly them for fun, but
I think check into that, and I could be wrong because it might be on the commercial part, like if you're planning on making any money. But like one of the big things too was over 250 grams was
okay.
And the Mavic Mini, which they just came out with the two.
But that's like 9 ounces roughly.
What is it? 30? Yeah, a little more. Yeah. I have one, man. I have it over here that like, because I got the first one. They came out with the second one, which is only like $550 new with the Fly More combo. I got this one for like $200 at a pawn shop. That is okay. The gimbal, it flies fine, but the gimbal is stuck, and it's supposed to be kind of an easy fix. I was talking to you about it. Well, Joe, because the gimbal won't rotate like this. It will freely. I mean, it will when it's not working, but dude, it was cool, man. Like $200, and I got some great pictures, like the ones in the real estate. I mean, just being able to get a really like kind of high angle with like the corner of the building with some of the yard and the street was like, those were the ones where I was like, whoa, this actually looks professional now. Just throwing that in there with a filter.
Right.
And it was so cheap, but I'm going to sell it. I actually have a ton of stuff I want to sell. Oh yeah. Speaking of which, you interested in that? Yeah, I've got that that tarp that I got with the doors, the Z packs, the pocket tarp with doors. Yeah. That might be. I'm on the fence.
I might be interested, but if not, I know a guy that for sure wants one.
Okay, cool.
We can talk about that later. I have a buddy that I think is about to order one. So
yeah, okay, cool. It's like basically brand new, and you know, because I think I need to. Yeah, I just need to. I think I'm selling my stuff again. I think I'm headed to the East Coast here in a couple months.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll see.
Yeah,
Dude, rent's just ridiculous around here. Like
it
it's
is.
I started looking like in Nashville. Even in Nashville, it's cheaper than freaking Medford. And it's
Yeah,
like it's like what
right.
am I doing, man? Like what am I? This is ridiculous. And then like if you just go to like some of these smaller places, um yeah, so I think I'm kind of getting that itch again.
Yeah,
So, and I really like don't need 310s, two of which I
yeah,
have hardly even used.
totally.
So,
Yeah,
um,
I don't need another one either. I already have two, so then I'd have three. But um, yeah, I know a guy
okay, cool.
out himself.
Yeah, because I'm also doing that. I'm selling I need to sell the drone too. But yeah, I'm kind of gonna do that. And then so actually what I'm kind of trying to do, like a little transition here, but I think with that money, um, I have a domain for that pet health matching plan thing that we were talking
Oh
about.
yeah, yep.
Yep, I got that the other day, and then I started actually yesterday trying to do just kind of started to try to build a landing page because I'm like, okay, dude, screw this, man. Like, I've got to do this. Like, have you
Yeah.
gone through that? Have you? I know that was kind of the
Build,
where you were.
building a landing page.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have before.
Okay.
I'm not built a super successful one, but I don't
Hey,
think
you got.
building the page itself is that hard, but making a good one's more nuanced.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
What are you using to build it with?
I don't know yet, man, because that's the thing, and I kind of just stopped because
Yeah,
I'm actually trying to make. I've actually been doing pretty good, like trying to chip away at progress, kind of
yeah,
some progress every day, and that one, first like this, actually starting to record some of these, but so I just got the domain, and then I was gonna start doing it on WordPress, and I just kind of got to the place because kind of, like what we were talking about before. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. Is I'm really kind of at this spot is like, man, I'm probably thinking too much and overanalyzing like I do
totally.
about kind of how to spend my time. Because it's like this is kind of one of those first things where it's like, wow, this is probably really valuable knowledge to have. I don't know how much time it would really take to invest in
Yeah,
like learning how to get a good landing page, but I also know I could pay somebody $125 to do one.
yeah, yeah. They're
So
not terribly difficult unless you, um, like I'm kind of assuming with what you're doing, like you're gonna build a landing page and it's gonna like link out to wherever they need to go.
yeah, because and it's
Uh,
so simple. Like, and I have it pulled up, like, and
Because that's pretty easy, but if you need to like have some sort of code to like walk them through things inside of the page, then like yeah, you probably have to pay somebody. But if it's just like info and a video and a whatever, a contact form or something like that, or a link, like you probably put one of those together in an hour or two.
yeah, and that's so I don't know, man. I'm kind of like trying to figure out so what do you think? Should I take the time to like, because I started on WordPress, and of course, everything you sign up for, you got to pay something else and something else. And I was like,
Yeah, yeah,
because I got it on GoDaddy because I didn't know
yeah.
about this crap.
No, that's where I buy pretty much all of mine, just because it's easy and cheap.
Yeah. And then I go to WordPress and they're like, oh, buy it from us. And like, you can copy this. And I'm like, okay, obviously, here we go again. I'm starting in something I have no idea. So I
Yeah,
like reached out to a couple of people because I don't want to just be kind of wandering around trying to figure that out. But I also think it's one of these things that's not that hard.
yeah. Like if it was me and it was like basically like an informational page, maybe a link out to wherever they're gonna. I guess the question is if they're buying the product actually from you, or if you're like providing the landing page and then linking them to other company service where they buy it.
Well, so what I would
Like
want,
somewhere, I guess is what I'm getting at,
you cut out a little bit
or
there.
like where they actually. Oh, I was just saying it depends on like where the actual sales page is, or like
Yeah.
where they're actually spending the money. Because if you're just setting up a page with like text and pictures and video and info and all that, like I would just go to Squarespace and set up a one-page website and link them out to wherever. And you
Squarespace?
can just, and you can just insert your domain name that you already purchased and link it to it.
Okay.
And Squarespace, like, you don't have to pay for the hosting, but you can pay monthly instead of doing the whole year up front and do like $14.99 a month or whatever. And
is that what? Okay. Because that was kind of, because I don't know. This is all kind of new to me. And it's, one of those things like with website and all that type of stuff. Like I'm pretty sure that websites are going to be pretty important in a lot of the stuff that I want to do. And so it's just kind of one of these things like, do I learn this skill or do I just find competent people to do it?
Yeah. But if you need something more interactive, then there's a good chance someone's going to have to write code. And I've never written code.
Yeah.
Like I can do the dummy, like build and drop plot, like that up, which Squarespace is really good for. And I used to use WordPress, but WordPress is a little less like user friendly. I feel like the options get better. There's more plugins, but Squarespace is kind of like, I guess maybe a decent analogy is it's sort of integrated. Like if you buy an iPhone, like it's all their system and it sort of all runs together. And there's some add-ons you can like hook to it. But WordPress is more like having an Android or PC where like everybody's writing their own programs and software and crap for it.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like extra stuff you can buy from other people, like themes and all this different, not just themes, but plugins or analytics and like everything. Some of them are free. Some of them cost money. You can throw 1,000 of them on there and slow your site down to where it basically doesn't run. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know a ton about it, but I dabbled a little bit.
Yeah. How's your blog doing?
I actually haven't had it up now for like a year.
Oh, you took it completely down?
Yeah, I did. I just, I don't know. I enjoyed doing it, which is kind of how it started, but I didn't really have a path in mind when I set it up to monetize it.
Yeah.
And the traffic was decent, so I probably shouldn't have taken it down because a lot of days I'd get 1,000 pages or something.
Yeah.
Like not great, but it's something.
Pretty good, man. That's pretty good.
But I don't know. I didn't really have a path to making money off of it. Mostly it's just like a time drain. Side hobby.
Yeah, dude, I kind of actually want to dive into that because we've talked about it a lot, like just kind of the social media thing. And like, this is one thing that's been, and I've gotten a lot more kind of organized as far as like the shorter term stuff. Like, I'm kind of organized with my stuff, but like trying to really figure out the best use of my time moving forward. And like, man, blogs keep coming up all the time. And I feel like I'm kind of foolish to not do that. But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, is this because I don't read blogs at all and I can't write worth crap.
You don't have to write even. Like if you're going to do this podcast, like I would strongly suggest that. And for this reason, basically, like think of the internet as like a library.
Yeah.
There's like books. Well, every web page is a book, right? And that book's like linked to whatever search terms you put in Google or other said search engine, and it pulls up all these results. Well, when you write a blog post, every one of those is a separate page.
Okay.
So now, like, it's really hard. Like, if you had a website, like say your landing page you set up, like you could try and target all kinds of random keywords by writing about all sorts of stuff, but like the page isn't really about one specific thing at that point, right? Yeah. If it's about one specific thing, that's great. And if they search that, that's good. But with a blog, like each blog post is about something specific. So if you can take the classic thing of like gear reviews for photography or something, right? And like people have blogs about those, and there's a review on each specific lens for whatever camera. Yeah. Well, that's because anytime you search a specific lens, their blog post for that will come up, which will put you into their website. And then you're in their website somewhere.
So
it's a good like search engine strategy. So in other words, for a podcast, you could have a blog post, which could just be like a linked audio file from your podcast hosting service, right? and then like the show notes below it or whatever you put, and then like just post that as a blog post, and whatever's in those show notes will pull in Google when someone Googles how to whatever. If there's something written on that page about that, like, but it has to be in text. Like Google's not going to scan the audio and like figure out what it's about.
Yeah. So just, yeah. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I need to figure that, because I do, and I also need to, because I need to figure this out. I have a lot of like, and I don't want to call these interviews, but like, dude, I've been having so many conversations with people. I don't have to explain it to you. You've been like, kind of, you were, kind of in at the very conception of this whole whatever the hell this is. But like, dude, I've been, oh no, I've lost you. Oh, there you are. Now you're good.
Turn my brightness up a little bit.
Oh, gotcha. I've been having so many conversations with people, like my roommate, who I'm going to talk with her later today. She's like, in her 50s, nurse, and like some of these concepts that you and I have been talking about, which was like really incredibly awesome to talk with her, but like some of these really resonated with her, which kind of blew me away. Because I was like, this is not really, not who I really thought with it, but like legit, she, we've been talking about it a lot, and she's like, you completely changed my perspective on like so many things. So I'm really trying, like, so I'm really trying to like, these, like, kind of capture these down. But so this, because like, yeah, dude, because I can't sit down and write. Like, I just can't write a blog post every day.
Yeah.
No way. I can talk all day. I mean, I do pretty much anyway, so.
Totally. So yeah, I mean, plenty of people blog, and like there has to be some text on there to kind of give some hint as to what it's about to a search engine.
Yeah.
That might change over time. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it has by now. I don't follow how the algorithms work very much at all, but you can blog and like the main content is a video, or the main content. So it's the same reason YouTube works well, is because YouTube actually has a search engine. Like it is a search engine.
Yeah.
Like Instagram or something really doesn't. Like you can search hashtags, yes, but like your content, if you make a post on Instagram, isn't very evergreen, so to speak. Like 6 months from now, that photo is probably not going to show up in anybody's feed.
Yeah.
Unless you just get really lucky. All boxes, and it continues to show in a category that has very little traffic. But like YouTube, you can look up how to whatever, and you might find a video from 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And blog posts can work in that same way. And they're a good, YouTube or a blog or both would be a really good format for a podcast, because currently there's no real search engine for podcasts, right? Like you go to Apple and you can kind of like pick a category, or like search a title maybe, but like Apple's not really promoting to you very much on their podcasts like YouTube would, where like you go to YouTube and watch a video and then it tells you to watch one of these ones next. Like that doesn't happen for the organic or search engine sort of traffic in podcasting. Like people kind of like stumble into podcasts by seeing somebody on YouTube or finding it through Google, or you know what I mean? Or you just
kind of, yeah. Like, I mean, it's interesting. Or you just
podcast and search like sports, and then you find whatever's the top 5, but that's about it.
No, and it's kind of an interesting thing, because like, yeah, I mean, I've never really thought about it that way, because I don't ever blog, like that's not, I've never read a blog, I don't read more than like 2 paragraphs. So interesting.
And you can do it with the website and like focus on a set of keywords. The advantage to the blog is like you can have it all under one website, but you can have a page about like all these different things that pull people into the same central idea.
Who did you use for your blog?
Or like what? I started out on WordPress for a while. And I'm not going to say I ever really did well on WordPress. And then I moved everything to Squarespace, which was a nightmare.
Okay. You mean moving it? Just moving everything?
Yeah. and they could be more integrated now, but at the time, the export of all the stuff wasn't very fluid. And I wanted to keep the same URLs so that my links weren't dead.
Yeah.
So I basically had to go, like, each of my blog posts, like, go in and move it and then change the URL to match the old URL manually.
Oh, gotcha.
So I didn't have to rewrite it all. I could copy and paste. But like the copy and paste, the photos weren't coming through right. So a lot of them just lost the photos or media with them. And then like I had to manually like change the URLs, and it took me a couple of days to like move not that many posts, 40 or 50.
Yeah.
So it was a pain.
Huh.
But Squarespace is a lot easier to use if you don't want to do as much like website building, but rather just like make it look decent, get all the stuff on there. Then a lot more straightforward.
Well, yeah. And it's kind of one of these hard things, you know, time spent versus how good is it versus can I pay somebody now?
You have to try harder to make things look good on WordPress, in my opinion.
Okay.
The Squarespace templates are like prettier and whatever, and you just kind of like drop stuff in.
Well, and kind of where I'm at now, I mean, I've had to, you know, like slow things way down as far as, well, not slow things down, probably speed things up, but as far as like trying not to just wait till I have everything figured out to just start, you know, so hence hitting record on conversations and like, man, I hope I figure this out in a couple of years. But I just did. So you've been on podcasts, but you never did your own. Is that right?
I dabbled a little bit. I did one with a couple of guys for like about 10 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been on a couple of shows that have quite a few viewers. But yeah, we dabbled in it a little bit, and then the thing kind of blew up just due to like another guy's family circumstances at the time. He was more of like the main host of the show, I guess, or who wanted, you know, he's kind of like leading it, so to speak. And I just didn't really feel like taking it over on my own.
Fair enough.
I was more like okay with the idea and going along with it and recording, but he was doing all the audio post and like all that kind of stuff. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, man, I mean, are you gonna do anything like that again?
Podcast?
Just something like you're online, you know. We've talked about it so much.
You know, I think I have a good idea. I guess we could talk about it because maybe nobody will listen to this.
Bro, nobody's gonna listen to this for a minute. The pessimism is great, but like, hey, you never know, bro. Like Gary V's wine talks or whatever were.
So I got an idea real recently, somehow out of the blue, about, let me think about how to explain this, but okay, you like to backpack, right? Lots of people like to backpack. I came up with the idea of selling like backpacking itinerary as like a digital good. So like so if you go online, like you could Google like and find some like 2 or 3 day trips or whatever, but it's not all laid out like the last town is and like where the trailhead's at, and like, you know, if you're going to split this into 3 days, like you should camp around here and then camp around there, and like all those kind of things, and like what kind of weather to expect, and like just the trip planning part. And I don't know, I'm talking to some people who are newer to backpacking. I'm gonna like send out a survey to 20 or 30 people that'll listen to those and just kind of feel out with some of their answers. But I think there's probably a decent market for those, to like plan them and package them into like, you know, digital product with a map that would run on your phone, and you know, you buy it for whatever, 30-40 bucks maybe, I don't know, I have to see, maybe more, maybe less, and put those online kind of like by area.
Okay.
For
so
people
these aren't customized.
No, but I think a lot of people, like even camping or whatever, Alyssa mentioned it when we like went to a couple of campgrounds, because like people go to campgrounds because they don't know where they can stay and where they can't stay.
Dude, people it's funny you mentioned that. Somebody just literally hit me up the other day because they know that I backpack, and they're like, "Hey, where do I go? What do I
Yeah.
do? I kind of want to be alone, but not really. But like, you know."
So, I mean, it would take some time. I don't know that I necessarily have to hike them all to do it. Like, I just like trip plan them in places that I'm semi familiar with, and like, yeah, list the distance, some different day amounts. But I think I could sell them as like little pre-planned things for people that want to backpack but don't really know how to go about the trip planning part of it, which I think is a lot of people.
Dude, I mean, it goes a lot to a lot of the conversations that we've had just about like the kind of intro to backpacking and the.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of a win-win for everybody. Like, it helps people get out and go new places without like not having no idea what they're getting into. And anyway, so that's my general kind of thought at the moment, is something like a digital product that could be sold. I
Okay.
guess it's almost along like more of the lines and like price line of like an ebook or something, but they'd be obviously shorter. I want to make a template to like check all the boxes, and then
Interesting.
I don't know if I got enough of them. I think you could also sell it as a subscription if you're
Oh
adding
yeah.
more like a monthly, but I think to start out I would sell them, per piece.
Interesting, dude. And I wonder if you could just, I mean, I think it's a good idea. I wonder if you could just kind of like piggyback off of like an all trails or something like that, of just
Yeah,
like,
all those are like some of these guidebooks that like
yeah.
have information in them but don't necessarily lay it out that way.
Yeah. Interesting. So would you do like food and stuff too? Or is this just kind of is this like a day itinerary?
No, I think this is more just like a trip itinerary of like, you can go here, you can hike this many miles in X amount of days. And like, here's the map and all the things you need to know to go do it. And then like the gear and stuff would be,
So the gear too.
no, not so much the gear, other than like expected weather for time of year or something, like temp range.
Gotcha. So,
Um, yeah, so
okay.
more like planning, not so much getting them like ready for all, like people who already backpack, but just like, I think people end up going to the same spots over and over again, or like you said, someone talked to you or they talk to a friend, they just like try and find places to go. I mean, realistically, there's thousands, if not millions of places to go. Just
Totally. And
people don't
everybody
know.
goes to the same freaking ones.
Yeah. It's because those are the ones that are on Google somewhere that someone wrote a thing about.
Totally. So
Yeah.
you're going to be the guy who maps the wilderness for these flatlanders to go explore.
Yep. For better.
Good. We'll do it in Oregon because I'm leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. So
No,
anyway,
no, I think it's a very interesting idea. I
well,
mean,
and
like,
people show up in Oregon and don't realize, for example, like this would be one thing, that all our trailheads require parking fees, and most of the rest of the Western US doesn't.
oh,
Like you go to Idaho and like there are no parking fees at trailheads.
yeah,
And then people show up in Oregon, they're like, oh, now I'm in the middle of nowhere with no cash and I need
totally.
$4 a day
Yep.
or a pass.
Yeah. Yeah. Been there. Been there many,
So
many, many times.
yeah, just like things like that come up. I think if you had like that stuff that's not necessarily on like all trails or in a guidebook or whatever.
Okay. So would this kind of be like, I mean, almost maybe like, I don't want to say a digital guidebook, but kind of like ripping a page out of a guidebook that you can kind of take with you that's a little more in depth.
Yeah, with the maps, I think I've given you a couple maybe when you've worked for me, like the PDF maps.
Yep. Yeah.
I think I'd make those too for
Have
like
you,
the specific part that the hike was on, so like closer scale.
have you used GutHook? Are you
No,
familiar?
no.
Okay, so this is actually the app that I was thinking about. I would look into GutHook because it's not exactly like this, but it's an open source like kind of all trails. I used it on the PCT and on the Arizona Trail, and what it is it's got your trail on there, but it has people can live update on water sources and campsites and conditions. Um, so like, I mean, not exactly kind of the same thing you're talking about, but like there is kind of already an interactive, like, let me know,
Yeah,
how,
right.
um, I don't think that's exactly ties into what you're saying, but either way. But Guthook, I would look, if you're not familiar with it, that's an amazing resource because it's like,
Okay.
I mean, it wouldn't really do you well unless you're hiking because it's like for these main
Yeah.
huge hikes, but it is kind of, like it gives you exact distances from where you're at.
Huh.
It's
Okay.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty freaking cool.
Totally.
Yeah. So do you think, I mean, are you going to blog or anything? Do you have any?
As far as on how to sell it, you mean?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, because kind of you were just talking about, so you have this product, but I was
Yeah.
curious because you already have success in blogging and like, how to drive traffic, which is like.
Yeah. Success is relative, I suppose. I didn't really make much money.
It doesn't, but that's not but I mean, so you
But
had
yeah,
success in
totally.
one part of it, like.
I sold some Amazon affiliate products, right? Like,
Well, you had eyeballs. Like, that's the thing. I
yeah,
mean, who cares? That's the hard part, in my opinion. That's the hard
it
part.
it probably is.
Yeah.
I probably would blog. I'm not sure what would be more successful for that, if it would be blogging or social media. So I'd probably just try both and see what works.
So, okay. So then let's just, because it's kind of like, okay. Well, okay. So, like, what would be your strategies with that? Because it's kind of the same thing that I'm at. Like, do I write a blog post or do I figure out social media marketing?
So I think, like, blog post wise, I would probably, and I'll probably do this, but essentially the blog part, or whether you want to classify it as a blog or like product pages, but each one, if it had a write up on the info, would like be its own searchable page. So it'd have like each hiking packet, if you will, of info would have its own unique page on the website. So then that would be findable through Google if if the description was written well.
Yeah.
Social media wise, like, I haven't completely thought through how to do that other than to post a lot of backpacking content and maybe hike a lot of them and take pictures and post those.
Okay.
And maybe if someone's interested in it, that'll drive them to the page for that specific hike and they buy it.
So so you were when you said social media, you kind of meant like building a page, not social media ads necessarily.
Oh yeah, sorry, not necessarily ads. I was more along the lines of like trying to tap into the backpacking craze that exists on Instagram.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Yeah, doing that one too. Trying to
Yeah.
Did I invite you to the Facebook? Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Just trying shotgunning them.
Yeah. So I haven't thought through all of it yet. I'm very early on. I just had this idea on like maybe Saturday or something.
Nice.
So yeah.
What sparked that? Did somebody ask you again?
The talk just with like my wife and I about like why people go to campgrounds over camping in random places. And that was mostly her theory on it, was like she wouldn't know where to go if that was like that you could for sure camp there or do whatever if it wasn't in a campground. You go to a campground, like you book a spot, you can stay there.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I forget that because I read maps every day, and that's largely what I do, that I'm good at reading maps.
Yeah.
What I can do and what I can't do.
You live a little bit different lifestyle than a lot of people.
Yeah, so I think my trip planning, and also I looked at it too, and like compared to hunting, if you want to go down that route, it's just so much easier to trip plan because you don't have to like figure out ag and figure out when you can go and like all this other stuff that has to fall in place that like limits where your trip can be. Like that doesn't exist so much with backpacking outside of some permit areas.
Yeah.
So
interesting.
Then it's pretty wide open, and then I can just like I can put them on there and get a bunch and like sell them over and over again.
Yeah, that part I like. That's the part we got to freaking figure out, man.
So, but with that also, I started to have the realization, because every time I get into something like this, I immediately like sit down and run all the numbers and like, how much would it take for me to only do this? And I started to be like, okay, like I could probably do multiple of these things, and I don't make $100,000 off selling hiking.
Totally.
Like maybe I can do some real estate photos. Maybe I can do some of that. Maybe I can still do some, well, obviously I can still do some forestry, which I like. I'm just sick of doing it
All the
60
time.
hours
Yeah,
or what.
totally.
Yeah. So maybe it's a combo of all those things.
Dude, I totally 100%. I mean, it's kind of it's a pretty awful video, but either way, it's actually, it is the first podcast, but it's just my long ramble video. But like, dude, so much of the whole exponential income thing is just that thing too. And like, I thought we'd kind of talked about this before, but, dude, I'm totally on board with like my kind of plan now is just do kind of what you just said, like just focus on one independent thing, like this pet thing that it's like, okay, just do that, let it be, like it's its own thing, and like maybe only a couple $100 a month or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, but I mean, shoot, how long is that going to take? A week to set up?
Yeah.
And then like do it again. But that's like absolutely my plan. And so actually I didn't realize like there's a kind of a term for this, and it's Tim Ferriss again, like the 4 Hour Work Week guy, but he has a term for this that is in the 4 Hour Work Week. I think it just came back up, but they're called Muse businesses, MUSE.
Okay.
And essentially, man, like, yeah, dude, that's where I'm really trying to focus my time.
Yeah. And I think I'm not going to say I'm not interested in passive income, because I don't think anybody's not. But I think I figured out about myself that I don't want all of my income to be 100% passive or whatever you call it, because I need something to do. Like when I am around with nothing to do at home, like I go crazy. So like I need to work 20 or 30 hours a week. I'm not a person who can sit still. So
And I totally
and I have like the family dynamics. It's not like I can just take off and travel.
Yeah, I know. That's
right. By myself or whatever. Like if my daughter's in school, I can't just like take off and leave for 2 months at a time or what. So yeah, I want some things to do. I just don't want to be completely tied to like the forestry business is great. My schedule is very flexible and I can do what I want when I want, but I still have to show up a certain amount of hours to make enough money. And if I could reduce that amount of hours, then some months I might not have to go actively work in that at all. And some months maybe I do it a lot.
Yeah.
So I think passive income would extend my flexibility quite a bit.
See, and I think I've kind of realized like a similar thing too. Cause like I mean, for a while there, like I had the whole like don't do anything, and it was fine and it was great, and I think it's important to do that every once in a while, but like no, I absolutely don't want to just not work. One of the things that I've kind of come up with is I really want to get away from just trading my time for money. At least one for one. I don't mind like trading my time for money, like you were saying, like, okay, you do a blog post. It's like, okay, well, this is here forever. Or, you do a course. And then the other thing that I realized too, this is what I want to attempt. I want to have projects that go for like, maybe like 9 months kind of for now, like at the most. So it's like, I want to dive in because like for me, man, I love getting into it, like working, 18-hour days until all of a sudden it's 4 a.m. and you're like, oh shoot, I should probably get some sleep. Like, but I don't want to ever feel obligated, like I love doing that.
Well, and that's where I'm at. I have kind of a list of those sort of projects I want to do in the long run. Like different, like small, like there's several books I'd like to write or make,
dude,
and things like that. And it's like, not that I couldn't work actively somewhat while doing that, but I just need some more time to be able to do those projects. So I'm like, if I could supplement, then I can start doing some of those, which will then add some more passive, which then frees up more time. You know what I mean? Which is probably exponential idea.
Yes, it 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are these books your the photo books that we talked about before? Or are these
essentially? Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, you want to write a book and I want to write a book.
Yeah.
Maybe
Both write a book.
Maybe we should figure this out.
Yeah.
Dude, I totally, and it's actually funny because one of the questions that I have, I can't probably see it on here, but it's the very last one that I want to ask people. But like, how would you write a book?
Yeah.
Because I don't know how to write a book. I'm trying here. This is
I don't either. I want to do a couple of books that largely revolve around a lot of photos and a collection of essays or thoughts that are kind of like standalone to each other, all themed about the book, but like where I'm not writing one monologue all the way, like page or two here, page or two over there about another topic along a similar theme, like that kind of. So I'm less interested right now in writing a entire book.
Oh yeah, totally. But I think it's the same, like for me, well, not for me. I mean, the book for me is like, I just really want to get this idea organized. Like that's the biggest thing for me, is just kind of being able to do that. But also, man, when I made that decision to like not work, like I was like, I'm not working hourly again. I don't want to trade my time for money. And like, I've always wanted to write a book because I'm terrible at writing. And so it felt like a challenge, but like, dude, I really think that it's one of these things where like, yes, this could be, and this is honestly kind of where I came up with the 9-month plan. I was like, I think from like beginning concept to having it done, like, I feel like you should be able to write a book in 9 months. And I feel like, that's an ass whooper, I'm sure. Like it's a lot of.
Well, I think that's probably not even that aggressive if you'd written a book before.
Yeah.
Like people that write books frequently, that probably isn't that huge of a deal depending on the book, but there's a lot of unknowns, along the way when you haven't done it. So
yeah,
it's what aggressive, but I think it's doable.
Dude, I think I think you should start a blog and start writing your essays and taking pictures.
Yeah, another thing I'm entertaining right now is I don't know that I would sell many, but I feel like I need to at least have the option to sell some prints or something online.
Yeah, man.
Because I have an entire catalog of thousands of images, some of which are good. That I should at least put up a site and like list those just to have, like, no one's gonna buy them if I don't have them up. So
dude, it's totally, man. And when this podcast goes off the walls, like you'll have so this man, we'll have all the links are down there. No, dude, man, I totally encourage you to do that. Like that's because that really is kind of that exponentiality. It's like, yeah, man, dude, if you just take the weekend, even if that's a long one, to put up 20 prints, to get the website figured out and to put up your 20 prints, at least it's there. And dude, your pictures are great and your writing's great. I think you should go back and blog again, man, personally.
Yeah, I probably will. I just don't know what about currently, which is why I'm not doing it.
See, and this is why I think personally that's a death trap.
Well, no, sorry. I don't mean like what specific to write for each blog post. I mean, I don't know what overarching theme I want to have a blog about. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, yes.
I want to write about cooking or backpacking or what. Like when I figure that out, then I'll probably have a blog again. But I could write about music or photography or but I don't want to have a blog that's about all of those, because then it's just a blog about me and that's never gonna monetize very well.
Probably not, but okay, so here's my thoughts on it, because I'm in the exact same spot just with videos, because and I have not made a ton of videos because I was like, I'm not really sure what my theme, kind of is. But honestly, where I'm at now is just, kind of trying to throw as much as I can out there and just let people tell me what they find interesting. And so that's because dude, I'm never going to know, and I really do think that that mentality is kind of the one that I'm trying to kind of change, is like, I don't know. I want something different. So I'm going to have to do something different. And I have no idea what it is. And it seems to me everybody's just like, just throw it out there, because I'm kind of thinking about, not to cut you off, which I did,
one thought I have about doing it is kind of combining the idea of like the book I was talking about.
Yes, totally. That's exactly what yeah.
Starting that more as a blog, and like that being the niche that I blog in, and like go that, which is completely different than my last blog, which is why I'm saying, like, I've just been trying, I want to blog again. I just been trying to figure out what I want it to be about, because I don't want to like start one on that's like a mix of photography and like wilderness information, and then all of a sudden be like, actually, I'm going to write about cooking now that I haven't eaten 50 people that don't care about cooking at all.
Yeah.
You know, try and convert it and then go back to something else. Like, I just want to figure out something.
Okay, so I think we're on the exact same kind of thing, because like it's kind of the same thing I'm trying to do. Like with this is like kind of write this as I'm going, as I'm figuring it out. Dude, I think honestly 100% like that's exactly what I think. You should start your blog with your essays on.
Yeah.
And the thing is too, man, is like, yeah, maybe not right now, like people don't care who you are, but like there's this interesting article that's come up. I listened to another Tim Ferriss book, which I don't know if you've listened to Tools of Titans.
No.
If you're familiar, dude, that's an awesome book. It's just kind of his cliff notes for like some super major kind of just super achievers in life from like, I mean, tons of places, but shit, where was I going with this? What did I just say before that? I got off the Tim Ferriss thing.
Talking about writing it as you go. And
yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you. So there's an article that he cited a couple times, which talks about 1,000 true fans.
Yep.
And yeah, you know, and it's just kind of like, and I really do think that's where things are kind of going right now. And like the way that article defines 1,000 true fans is, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like if they like you, they're going to buy your cooking book. They're going to buy the hard copy, the soft copy, the limited edition. They're going to buy, you know, the pictures of your shoes and this, and like, you know, because they're going to fall in love, like with your style and your pictures and your personality. And I really do, you know, that's kind of, I mean, obviously I hope that works. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. It's just like, I don't know, just do what the hell I want to do. And hopefully, you know, like, some people like it, but it's like, you know, that's kind of what I'm trying with this whole exponentiality is like, what the hell do you actually want to do? What would be a fun process to do? And what can you kind of combine those two into, like, you might as well make some money doing it, but like, you're great at photography, you're great at writing, you have a book idea.
Yeah. And I hate video, so I'll stay off of YouTube.
Yeah, totally. Well, we can talk about it. We'll talk.
So yeah, with that, the way, and we might have to talk about your ideas at some point, maybe not today, but the way I'm kind of looking at it currently is like with exponentiality. I hadn't turned it that way in my head, but sitting here thinking about it, that's kind of how it applies as to what you're talking about. But like with some passive income, you buy back like a little bit of your time, right? Okay. Or owning a business or whatever, you're buying your time back. Well, as you buy some of that time back, it's similar to investing. Like if you had a business and you were making money, you take the money and you make the money go to work for you. Well, if you take that time and you invest it into another passive thing, you get a little bit more, which means you get a little bit more time. And that's the thing that kind of finally hit me, because before I was always trying to take X side hustle and replace all of my other time, which is hard because that's a big molehill to roll over the top of, right? Like whatever your normal wages, or, you know, if someone, for example, makes $80,000 a year as just an odd number, like then they have to figure out how to make their side hustle equal 80K to be in the same spot. Well, granted, I'm in a different boat because I'm self-employed. So if I make 20,000 on a side hustle, I just work 25% less in that scenario. Which I guess isn't the case for people with 9 to 5s. So that maybe they need to figure out a workaround. But
totally.
Like me, in my situation, I could just take less work on what I'm doing actively. And it's like, and then invest that 25%. into something else passive, which now then it becomes 50%, invest that time into another 25 or 50%. And you just keep like, you use that time, like you're still working, but you're working on something that I would view as an asset, almost in the way that like financially you view assets and liabilities, but a lot of them are digital and you don't have to purchase, you just have to get them.
That is 100%. Like, thank you for kind of articulating it. Because yeah, man, that's kind of exactly, because I think with that, I mean, you have instant diversification. Yeah. And like the other thing too, like, because yes, that's that one aspect of exponentiality is like you kind of get your time. But every time you do this too, like let's say you do have a blog post, like all of those are based on the foundation of your following and your influence. Yeah. So like, you know, every one of those new products or new projects that you do might bring somebody else in and is like, oh shit, he has a cooking channel. Great. Yeah. Just so happens.
Yeah. And the exponentiality of it is if you use that, I think the key to it, where I had it wrong before, was that you use that time that you buy back to make another passive asset.
Yep. So yeah, there's a
correct. And then like you can keep building on it. And that's where I got the other day, where it's like, I don't have to make all the money on one of these. I just got to be able to get one of them that buys me some time, that then buys me more time.
Dude, exactly. So. And little bite size, because it's like, you know, like this, you know, the pet thing, it's like, okay, cool. Like what if that might only buy you 4 hours a week, but it's like, great. I have now an extra 4 hours a week to do something that might have been twice the time that I had setting this thing up. But it's like, great, you know, and now I get another, yeah, man. And that's, dude, that's exactly it. Because I think the, you know, old building a business is risky. I think having all of your eggs in one basket is risky, especially now.
Well, and there's so many more things. Like a lot of these are quite profitable for the amount of time you put into them.
Yeah.
But look at some of these and it's like, I just don't know that I can scale it to 6 figures or 7 figures or whatever. The market's not there. So then in the past, I'm just like, well, that's a dumb idea. Not good enough. It's like, well, you could just have a whole pile of those things that make you $1,000 a year.
Dude. And so like in this last video that, I mean, in one of them, cause that was the example of like, and I'll try to use the exact same one, but it was like, okay, let's think about, you and I are going to retire probably around 72 or something. So like, and let's say we're
higher in like 8 years. I'm afraid.
Yeah. I guess the average people of our, you know, at our age, but like, okay, so then let's say you're going to live for 30 years after that. And let's just use $1 million, which is about $30,000 a year. Okay. Well, if you can just spend the next 40 years before we get here, and like every year, if you just figure out one of these businesses that brings in $1,000, like you have 40 years to bring in $1,000 a year, like every single year, which is like nothing. You're in the exact same spot. And I guarantee like you're in a, dude, it's just a much better, much better.
Significantly.
Yeah.
One,
significantly in every freaking aspect.
You actually own those and they might do better than that in the long run, as in they probably will. Also, like when you really sit down and pencil it out, like $1,000 a year or whatever, if you did make one of those a year, like that's less than $100 a month. It's like one sale.
Dude, it's exactly
that is sell one thing every 30 days. Like that's not very difficult.
No, at all. I mean, I haven't done it yet, really. Like I'm trying to, you know, and so that's kind of why I'm like, dude, screw it. Throw it to the wall. See if it, you know, and not just screw it, but like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I really, like, I believe in that, in the ideas we just said, like, with everything. I mean, like, it just is so freaking logical in my mind. I just have to learn these skills of like, okay, because I have a product. Like, how do you do these things? And they don't seem complicated at all.
Yeah, what I've come to realize over screwing with this for like 3 or 4 years while running my other business. So it's been pretty haphazardly, right? Like it's some effort at times when I'm slow and no effort at others. But I think it's really easy for me and maybe other people, I don't know, but it's easy to get caught up in all the like ideas of how you're going to sell it and how you're going to market it and all this. And then I get all those figured out. And I'm like, well, I haven't made the product yet.
Yeah.
You need the product. That's
so. And the crazy thing too, though, and I think actually what you're maybe kind of speaking to in a roundabout way is not really having an end goal in mind.
Yeah.
As far as like for me, I thought maybe like, it was like, oh no, I actually want to invent a product to sell. And it was like, okay, let's hold on for a minute. Like, I would just like to buy my time back. And there's a lot of products I can buy it little by little by little. So instead of this grandiose plan, like,
Yep.
there's some real easy cookie cutter steps that I feel like are just right in
Yeah.
front of me that I could slowly take
Yeah.
to
And
have.
just get there, like I forget the exact terminology, but the idea of like a minimum viable offer, as
Yeah.
in like just have at least start. Like you can improve it later. You can upsell things later. Like
Yep. And
you
if
aren't
it
going to make money if you don't give people the opportunity to give you money.
totally, man. And that's exactly, yeah. And this is kind of like with the, the podcast and the
Yeah.
Facebook group is, it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it seems like in all of the books, that's the other thing too, the whole thing about this, it's like, I don't know, but every book that I've read about this, and there's a lot on every topic, basically says the exact same thing. Like, just start, you'll figure it out. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't exactly it was way easier than I thought. Like, and
Right.
it's as simple. Like, I just got done. The other thing too, man, is I'm back on this whole like real estate thing, because it's another one of those things where like the numbers are too freaking simple.
For purchasing or selling?
Purchasing.
Yeah.
Like investment prop.
Fantastic idea.
Yep. Yeah.
Just have to find a way to make the money to put into the investment. That's
I think there's it's another one of these things, like in that other video too, like
I'm not saying you need a lot of it, but you need a little bit.
You need a little bit, or you need a little bit, or you need some friends that have a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have some, but that's, like, I really do. Like, I don't think any of this stuff is as hard as people want. And honestly, man, I think that's kind of one of the scary parts too. Cause like, you can't see it behind me, but like, I finally, and if you haven't watched any of the videos, like I literally actually have a plan now of like almost everything I want to achieve. Like, as far as like just kind of ideal lifestyle, I even have numbers on income and like skills that I want to have, and even have toys and this type of stuff. Dude, it's like literally I fit everything onto a page. And I was sitting there and I was like, this is embarrassingly simple. Like, it's like,
it's scary when you just sit down and make a checklist and you're like, I only like 12 things and I just never do them.
Dude, that was exactly, because I looked at this and I was like, okay, I've written down everything I could think of, because I went through all of my notes that I'd had. Like, I had so many lists of like ideal life. I finally organized them all. And I was like, this is literally like every thought that has been fluttering through my head for the last few years. And I was like, this is a joke, dude. Yeah. I was like, you could literally be halfway through these legitimately in like 12 months.
Totally.
And it's like, dude, okay, so what are you doing? And then I was like, and then another thing, like I started doing like a journal. Well, and I've been doing this, but like I had to do journaling a little differently. Like I have a whole list of questions that I fill out every day instead of just kind of going like off my mind.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I put down is, what is the one thing I will accomplish today? Not list of things or lists of priorities. One goddamn thing. That's it. And dude, it's scary because I just started doing that. And one of them was like,
so complicated.
Dude, I know, but I just started doing this in my list. I was like, oh shit, like, I'm gonna get done with my list here pretty quick. Like, I was like, but yeah, just start a Facebook, start a YouTube, like start doing the podcasts, get a couple websites, find a product. And it was like, okay, man, like you just have to start doing things. And it was like, okay.
Yeah.
Shit. All right. I mean, this is no grandiose plan. And like the other, even for like real estate, it's like, I have a list of the things, of the types of property that I want, like that stuff. And it's like, okay, all you have to do is find this property. And if your numbers work and it is a good buy, then you only have to go find somebody else that wants to make money and just present it to them. And it's like, this is as simple as it comes. Like, if you can find an opportunity to make money and you already have this entire list, it's like, all you have to do is get on the internet and find something that matches these boxes. That's it. Like, that's it. at all. So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Yep.
in theory,
Yeah.
but I put some, actually, dude, for the first time in a long time, I put goals down. And financial ones as far as just kind of passive, because, and not even, and it was kind of hard for me because like money is not the goal, but it's one of the kind of the easier things to measure. And
it
it
is.
is, it's forced me to be like, get your ass in gear. Like,
Yeah.
like quit looking at the real estate properties and start like making the phone calls and like
Yeah.
start posting the videos, even like the videos, like the first, like the way I did that first podcast was literally, I just got every notes that I had in my outline for exponential income and I just read them. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing, but I just have to get this out. And I was like, and then I got it out and I was like, okay, well, that seemed like it was a really huge step and it really wasn't. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll go on to the next thing that seems like a huge step and like make a podcast. And it's literally like copy and post a link. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all it takes to start a podcast,
Yeah. Not that hard.
It's not that hard, man. My life plan, it was like, shit, man. My life plan could be done in like 2 weeks. If one thing one thing works out, I'm gonna have to redo my entire life plan again, because it's like, okay, these weren't very ambitious goals. Like, you've got so I don't know. Hopefully, man. Hopefully, that's the hope, man.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, you look like, are you opening your door? You look like you're getting hot.
It's warm. It's warm.
Well, I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna run out of phone battery eventually here because having the video chat on kills it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, dude, how about like, are you interested at all? Like, I don't know if you've been on the Facebook group, but I've kind of been doing like one thing that's really, I think for me, the Facebook group was honestly, man, I've been looking for my community and kind of like-minded people, and I couldn't find it. So I was like, screw it, man. I'm going to start it, or I'm going to like, but one of the things I've been talking with a couple of people is just kind of like support, but also accountability. I don't have any of that. And it's really one of those things. It's kind of another one of these massive, obvious things. It's like, hey, if you actually want to get this shit done, like, why don't you have some accountability?
I could probably, that probably goes the same in my direction with some of this.
I mean, dude, if you're interested, I mean, obviously you don't have to do it right this second. But I mean, I think you should start your blog, man. I think you should start your book blog.
It's a good idea. What I was just going to say before you even said the accountability thing is we should just do this like every 2 weeks.
Yeah. I plan,
because I know that, well, one, if I'm going to post it, whether it's do it or not, and then I know when it's going to be is like, I'll have to do something between now. So
bro, that is why I literally recorded me like telling a plan of like, hey, this is how I'm gonna do my videos, and I was planning my schedule, and I was like, okay, I have to plan a video.
Because if I have to come on every 2 weeks and be like, I didn't do anything, kind of suck.
Dude, totally. And I think like, I mean, and this is really, I mean, okay, so I was thinking about this too. Like, okay, what kind of value, do I have to offer? We've talked about that kind of a lot. And like, straight up, the only thing I can, well, not the only thing, but I think like the best thing that I can offer is just being an example of actually trying, of like, okay, because I think so many people have these ideas. I mean, like, this is not, I mean, everybody has the idea of like, man, it'd be really great to not trade my time for money and not worry about money and do what the hell I want to do. But, and I think everybody reads the books and has the ideas, but I don't think anybody's.
I think still there's a large amount of people that have never actually looked into it. I mean, they might think that, but I think, some people read all the books and do the research that you have, but I think vast majority of people still haven't done that. So there's still a lot to offer.
Totally. But I think even with those people, I think there's like very few people that actually kind of actually do like, okay, I've read 50 self-improvement books and every single one of them has told me to get a budget and record some things, but I haven't done it yet. And then it's like, you know, like with these things, like, yeah, with that, it's like, man, I wonder what would happen if you just do one thing a day. And
Yeah.
like, and you were accountable of like every other week, just being like, okay, this is what I did. Like legit from everything that I've read, that's how empires get built.
Yeah. One brick at a time.
One tiny little thing. So yeah, man, I mean, definitely I would love to, we'll get this. Yeah, we should figure this out as a schedule. Cause I do. And I think it's great to like have these ideas, and I do want to post them too. Cause I think a lot of people share these ideas, and I think a lot of people could, you know, kind of throw in on it. But all right, dude. Yeah, well, we should, yeah, we'll plan a time 2 weeks.
Sounds good. 2 weeks.
Okay, man. Well, thanks, dude. Thanks for chatting. And yeah, this is awesome.
Maybe in the future we can move it. We'll move it back to Sundays or something, because that'll be better in the long run.
Oh, totally. Yeah, whatever works. Just
I screwed up this week's schedule, so
yeah, no, whatever works for you. Yeah, we'll get figured out. But yeah, man, and I wouldn't, you know, dude, I would encourage you. I mean, that's kind of my thing, is like, dude, I know there's a better way out there. We've had this conversation forever, but it's like, bro, and you know it. I know you do, because you're the one that freaking helped me get to this whole point. It's like, time is now. How many freaking ideas have we? Yeah, that okay, man. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm done rambling. Yeah, we'll probably chat before that, but yeah, let's do this again in another 2 weeks.
Sounds great.
All right, man. I look forward to seeing your blog posts.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Take it easy, buddy.
Yeah, you too.
Peace.
Peace.